Our collusion and corruption segment tonight, a series of shocking anti-Trump text messages sent between two top FBI officials. Officials involved in the Mueller investigation and in the Hillary Clinton email investigation. One of the most senior investigators involved in the Mueller probe, a man named Peter Strzok, was fired from his position on Mueller's team because of the anti-Trump text messages he sent to his mistress. So is this just an isolated incident or evidence that the Mueller investigation is at its core a biased witch hunt? With me now to break it down from the Center for Security Policy, Fred Fleitz. Fred, good to see you.
Hey, Liz, good to be here.
All right, Fred, you are uniquely qualified to answer this question because you worked for the CIA, you worked in the intelligence community for over 30 years, I believe it was, and you can correct me if I'm wrong there. But I want to read this text message that Peter Strzok, he was very high up, high level in the FBI, involved in the Hillary email investigation, involved in the Mueller probe. He sent this to his mistress, also an FBI lawyer named Lisa Page. He said, quote, "I want to believe the path you threw out for consideration in Andy's office," probably referring to Andrew McCabe, "that there's no way Trump gets elected, but I'm afraid we can't take that risk." Fred, is this type of text message typical to be sent by someone involved in a counterintelligence probe of this level?
Well, Liz, critics of the president are trying to say, look, we can disregard tweets like this and emails like this because federal employees are allowed to privately hold political positions and to express them privately. But having worked at the State Department, the CIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, I can tell you that there is a point where these personal opinions become personal animus so serious that it undermines their objectivities and their ability to do their job. I saw this at the CIA and the State Department. For example, in mid-2004, the Wall Street Journal ran an editorial called "The CIA Insurgency," about efforts to defeat George W. Bush and help John Kerry win. So my view is this has been going on for a long time. The swamp problem did not just start with President Trump.
Right, and listen, I actually agree with the idea that, I mean, of course, people that work at the CIA or the FBI or the Department of Justice, they're going to have political opinions. They're right in Washington, D.C. They're dealing with political issues all the time. I have zero problem with them having personal opinions. That's why I don't really have a problem with the text he said. You know, he said Trump, or F Trump, I think he said, or Hillary Clinton should win 1,000,000 to 0. Those I don't have too much of a problem with him sending. What I have a problem is that in this text message, he talked about some sort of plot to actually take Trump out. That's applying, like you said, that political bias to actions that you're taking when you're supposed to be in a position of unbiased. That's the time that I was like, whoa, this is a very serious thing, and that's different than just someone being politically active or even politically opposed to the current president here. And Democrats say, this is another argument for them. They say that Mueller fired Strzok when he was found out, and that so it's been handled. So the investigation isn't biased because it was handled exactly how Mueller should have handled it. But my question is, how do we know what happened or what kind of bias was inserted into these investigations before he was found out?
I think that's a good question. And Strzok's text, let's just remember, said we need Trump insurance. Trump insurance. What is Trump insurance, Liz? I really want to know about that. But let me tell you how bad this is. I know a couple of people who were nominated for jobs that had to be confirmed to the State Department. The hostility to Trump is so severe, they can't say anything positive about him. They can't praise his policies at the State Department. This is going on in every agency, and you can be darn sure it's going on in the Justice Department and in the FBI. Basically, the Democrats trapped the Trump administration by starting these endless investigations by the swamp that they knew would get Trump officials and would give Hillary a pass.
Right, and that's what we talked about last week, how exactly the Logan Act factored into this. So that was at the FBI. Peter Strzok was at the FBI. Your example happened at the State Department and the DIA. It's basically, like you said, all of these high-level executive agencies in the purview of the executive branch. Now we go over to the Department of Justice. There was the Associate Deputy Attorney General. He was a man by the name of Bruce Orr. He was recently demoted. He was just made a regular old Department of Justice official, not the Associate Deputy Attorney General, because he secretly met with Fusion GPS, the founder of Fusion GPS, Glenn Simpson, and the British spy, the former British spy who put together the Trump dossier. His name was Christopher Steele. Now, Fusion GPS GPS obviously is the firm behind that dossier, the dossier with all the drama here. He hid those meetings with those people. He didn't tell anybody that he worked with. We now find out that his wife worked for Fusion GPS during the 2016 election. She was paid by Fusion GPS to dig up dirt on Trump. He didn't disclose that either. And my question is, how and why and if, all those questions, should this be investigated? Because Bruce Orr's office was 4 doors down the hallway from Rod Rosenstein, the man who started the Mueller probe to begin with. Can we actually realistically expect that there was no communication between the two of them about this dossier?
It's just laughable. I mean, Fusion GPS was paid for by the Democrats. They provided this information to the FBI. It was treated as objective information. Whether they didn't know the Democrats paid for it, or maybe they did know, then this information made it into the presidential daily brief. Glenn Simpson also met with that Russian attorney before and after she met with Donald Trump Jr. in June of 2016. This is an unbelievable politicization of our Justice Department, of our intelligence agencies, of the federal bureaucracy. This isn't a close call. This has to be investigated. I mean, this really is a very serious scandal.
I mean, you can't write a plot like this that's so intertwined throughout our government. You can't write in a spy novel a kind of plot like this. I agree. I mean, we have to investigate this. If we allow this to be status quo under a Republican president, it's only going to fester more if we get a Democratic president. The next time we get a Democratic president, it's only going to render Republicans in our government to be completely neutered. They're not going to have any power whatsoever, and that's not how our government's supposed to work. We're not supposed to have scandals like this. Fred, thanks for coming on the show, as usual. I appreciate it. All right, we have to take a quick break, but right after that, our next tipping point is with John Gabriel. Jimmy Kimmel cries on air, and he brings his baby. The baby is super cute, by the way, but Jimmy Kimmel's pandering and lying and his emotional dishonesty, that is not cute. It's a lie, and we're going to break it down lie by lie next, so you know the truth. Stick with us.